A warm welcome to Business Daily right here on Trust Television. I am Yusuf Akogu. Let's take the business top stories. Glad to have you back. Now we go to the stock market to give you highlights of the stock trading as it went down yesterday. Don't forget, the all-share index of the market crossed the 70,000 psychological line yesterday. For the first time in history, 70,581.76 basis point there. And of course, a huge gain there, 1.94%. Indeed, the bullish run of the market continues from what we saw yesterday. Let's look at the volume of trade, 601.732 million, value at 11.016 billion naira in a dose of 7,444 deals exchanged among investors yesterday. And of course, the market cap added over 800 billion to the market cap yesterday. Let's look at the top gaining equities from yesterday trade. Airtel Africa is there, of course, 10% it gained to close at 1,694.10 kobo. The huge gain there for investors in that segment of the market. Sham PLC 9.91%, 2.41, 2 naira 44 kobo per share. UPL as well 9.91% to close at 2 naira and 33 kobo per share. Let's look at the top losing equities. The losers are Cavitin Helicopter down 7.74% to close at 1 naira and 43 kobo per share. Of course, Champion Breweries also down 6.85% to close downward at 3 naira and 44 kobo. And of course, Silencing also down there 6.41% to close at 3 naira and 36 kobo. Quickly, we look at the top trading equities by volume. United Bank for Africa topped the table yesterday. 164 million volume of the Abda company shares were traded. FBN Holdings, the mother company of First Bank, are doing 94.7 million volume of shares. And of course, Guarantee Trust Bank PLC also doing 45.8 million volume of shares. All banking sectors are fair from what we saw on the floor yesterday. Let's look at the sectorial performance. The banking sector gaining 2.21%. The industrial sector was largely flat, not much activities in that segment. Of course, the consumer good down 0.14%. And of course, the oil and gas sector has been dormant for a while, and that continues yesterday. We look at the insurance sector, the biggest gainer, 3.73% it gained yesterday on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Let's look at quickly the rest of Africa. In Joburg is up 0.39%. A very huge gain there for Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Of course, Nigeria has overtaken them in terms of the all-share index. The GSE in Ghana, 0.09% positive. And of course, the NSE in Nairobi is down 0.96%. Let's quickly speak to Charles Fakroga. Charles Fakroga is a stockbroker. He joins me via phone from Marina in Lagos. Good morning, Mr. Charles.
Good morning, Yusuf. Thank you for having me.
Tell us, bullish run by the Nigerian Stock Exchange. For the first time in history, we have crossed 70,000 psychological line. Tell us how are investors taking this very good news?
I will say people like us, we saw this coming because from ever since this new administration came into power, despite all the challenges the average Nigerians are going through, you can see a renewed interest in the capital market in terms of investors' confidence, because the figure speaks ladder than even what people are even talking about. So, yes, crossing that psychological mark was a very big milestone, because we saw this last in 2008 when the exchange got to about 68,000 baht. But now it has crossed, and of course it has crossed 70,000 baht. Now, what is responsible for this? One, I would say the investors having renewed hope in the economic policies of this new administration. We can't rule that out. The naira unification and, of course, the subsidy removal. But most importantly, as a practitioner, what I saw yesterday, what really made this possible was the earnings reports that are being sent to the market by some of these quoted companies, the likes of UBA, maybe Airtel, and others that are, even the NGS group itself, their numbers hit the market yesterday. So all these are giving investors a renewed hope and confidence in the market, and that's why we are seeing this kind of high patronage in the market.
All right, Mr. Charles, within 3 days, we saw the market gaining about 1.357 trillion naira. I mean, a huge number there added to the market cap. Tell us, which sector is actually driving investment right now? And then for today trading, what do you expect? Are we expecting this bullish run to continue?
Well, it is also very early again to say the bullish run will continue today, because this is at 11 o'clock. Market just transited to the continuous trading. But I see positive, because the little figures are seeing now, the market is still looking up in the upward direction. Now, the sector that are really driving this run, we are saying, one, the telecom sector. We saw Airtel doing 10%, I think since Monday, just Tuesday, Wednesday, Airtel is doing that. And of course, the banking sector is also doing that. However, you also note that the economic policy is also favoring some sectors today, whether we like it or not. The financial service industry, this economic policy of this country, of this government, is favoring them. And that's why we are seeing most of them posting good figures. And that's why you are seeing some of these increases in the share prices of some of these securities in that sector. But most importantly, the telecom sector, especially, of course, I'm not going to mention the particular company, has really made what we are seeing happening in the market today.
All right, Charles Fakroga, stockbroker, thank you for talking to us on Business Daily this morning, all the way from trading floor of NGS in Lagos. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. In Abuja, we are doing cabinet retreats.
It's all right. With that, we take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll talk e-governance. How can we use the digital landscape and, of course, to drive governance in Nigeria? Don't go away.
Hello and welcome to Creative Lounge on Trust TV. My name is Ahmed Mohammed Bello, and I'm going to be taking you through my journey as an artist.
Glad to have you back. It's still Business Daily right here on Trust Television. Now we're going into our discussion, and we're looking at the digital landscape and, of course, e-governance in Nigeria. How much of this penetration do we have in Nigeria, in many of the states as well? And I have joining me in the studio this morning. He doesn't want to, he said I shouldn't address him as honorable, but as the Commissioner for Communication Technology and Digital Economy in Niger State, Suleiman Isah. Glad to have you on Business Daily.
Thank you for having me, Yusuf.
All right, it's a pleasure. Let's start this way, the internet or broadband penetration in Nigeria. And of course, your home state, Niger State, one of the largest states in Nigeria. How much of the penetration do you think we have in Nigeria? Are we ready for e-governance anyway?
For e-governance, yes, we are ready, because Nigeria currently experienced a 108% growth in broadband penetration within just 1 year. That's 2022. Currently, the broadband penetration stands at 47.3% as of December 2022. So with that rapid growth, I think it was stimulated by COVID-19. We might say COVID affected businesses and all that, but it has its own positive side. While for my state, it grew to 61.67% broadband penetration. And mind you, all this for my state is wireless connectivity. It's now we are trying to get into fixed internet connectivity. So that number should grow before the end of Q4 of 2024.
All right, impressive there. Your state, like I mentioned earlier, over 70,000 square kilometer, bigger than 2 or 3 countries, maybe Belgium, France put together. And most of these space are ungoverned.
Yes.
I mean, that's why we're having some insecurity that we're having in that axis. How much of effort do you think government should put in to ensure that we have this enough penetration? You say 61%, which means we have about 39 more to go.
Yes, what we've done in the state, like we are 10.1% of the total land mass of Nigeria. Exactly. However, our population is just about 6 million. So if you do the land to population ratio, you'd see that our per capita is very low. However, what we've been doing is rural penetration of broadband, where we use VSAT and solar-powered satellites to now be able to provide rural areas with internet. So that is part of what led to the increase in the penetration. And for most people, they see the ungoverned space as being a problem, but for us, we see it as an opportunity. For example, if an investor wants to come and set up a solar power plant, for example, there is no state in Nigeria that will be able to give you 100,000 hectares to do a solar farm that will produce probably 15 to 20 megawatts of electricity, but Niger state. So that wide space is because it's unutilized. That's why some of those bandits now tend to have where to stay. And due to the lack of population, you don't have much movement, so people won't even know they're there. And don't forget, I don't think there is a state that has an internal border like Niger state. We are bordering Zamfara state, which we know is heavily challenged. So whenever there is any military operation in Zamfara, that's when they move down to Niger. We are bordering Kebbi state, we are bordering Kogi, Kwara, FCT, even Benin Republic. So you see, if you are setting up your business in Niger, you have the land, you have the location. We're at the middle of the country.
Right.
Then nothing stops you from also diversifying into Benin Republic from Niger State.
No, all right, impressive there. Now, let's look at how to use the ICT sector now to boost the growth of small businesses in Nigeria. Quite a whole lot need to be done in that sector. There is a saying that some small businesses don't even last as long as 5 years when they start. How can ICT help in this area?
The major thing is about awareness and know-how. Most people in the micro, small, and medium enterprise sector, whenever you talk technology, they are afraid of it and they tend to run away from it. But like the sensitization we've started, we are trying to get people to be comfortable with what they have, their phones, WhatsApp. If on WhatsApp you don't know how to type, you can send voice notes, snap pictures of your commodity, be it cattle, anything, and send to somewhere else. So technology will now help you expand your marketplace. So we are starting from awareness. From there, we would now still use technology to build commodity exchange. So the government will serve as escrow. If you want to, let's say, offtake rice, even if it's 100,000 tons, we can give you as a state. The state collects the money, holds it in trust. Whenever our people deliver at your own quality, we pay. So that way, technology serves as the middleman, not even the people in government. So those are the type of things we are trying to do to boost the MSME sector using technology. In Niger
State.
Yes.
Let's look at it on a large scale now. I know you are from Niger State, but let's take Nigeria as a whole now. The role your government is playing, I know he's so focused on using ICT. How much of partnership are you looking at with agencies like SMIDAN and some other agencies that are responsible for MSMEs?
For issue of partnerships, what we are looking at currently, I'll speak for my own ministry. We're looking more of partnerships towards private sector. we want to boost private sector participation, because part of the issue of governance is sustainability. If we leverage too much on government agencies and government, after, let's say, 4 to 8 years, you would now start having policy somersaults. But if we encourage the private sector to give what is needed for our people, and our people now understand the benefit, even when a new government comes, that policy somersault is not likely to affect the general populace, because they're already used to what the private sector is driving, and the private sector must protect their investment. However, we are into talks with other agencies to now see how to collaborate and get low-hanging fruits while we create the enabling environment.
All right. Talking about creating an enabling environment, there's quite a whole lot for Nigeria, and of course, particularly your state, to do, because your state is a very important state, strategically located, and housing some of the very strong government infrastructure, the Kenji Dam, the Shiroro, and all of them. So how much of this do you think government need to do to create this enabling environment? Because the eyes that people are actually looking at Niger state is like that of a state that is not safe for investors to come.
Yes, for that, I'll still talk about my own sector. Just yesterday, we were discussing with a team from the Nigerian Communications Commission, and I told them my state is willing to waive all state levies for telecoms operators. So if you invest in the state, you have...
So as to encourage them to come to the state.
Once they come in, before you come in, come and sit with us. We tell you, okay, we are waiving right-of-way, mast charges and the rest. What are you giving us in return? Are you adopting a tertiary school? Are you adopting a hospital? Then we'll waive that. So both social services and your own investment would profit. Then also, ease of doing business. Unfortunately, we are currently 26 out of 36 in ease of doing business. But I'm very sure by the next time that the baseline indices are assessed, would jump up to that. I think just on Monday, some investors that want to do solar grids, about 9 of them, within 48 hours, they got the certificate of occupancy for the lands for them to start their plants.
All right.
That's something that normally takes about 2-3 years in my state, but we're doing it in 48 hours currently.
What about talking about the issue of absence of venture capital funding, which is in a way weakening the northern startup ecosystem?
Yes, for that, we can't solve that until we start something. A venture capitalist is after profit. He's not after producing social services or anything. So he needs to see your commitment and what you have on ground. That's why we are now trying to start encouraging our own people, create the right ecosystem. When you start having companies spring up in our state with a valuation of, let's say, $1 million, a venture capitalist will be willing to drop $10 million, $100 million to boost that. But when you are currently at $0 valuation, there is no way a venture capitalist will drop his money for you. So we are hoping before the end of 2024, we would see valuations from startups coming out of our state. We are currently trying to domesticate the Startup Act to groom the ecosystem.
All right, impressive there. How much of training do you think you need to do in this regard, especially to young investors who are actually willing to, to start something?
You can't do any business without the knowledge. So for us, we are not just looking at training. We are looking at an apprenticeship scheme of doing things. So whereby we have a very young population. I think the mean age in Niger State is about 27, between 27 and 35. So if we start training, we have placements. It can be done remotely. That's why we are trying to now focus on laying fiber optics for internet penetration. So you can be in Niger while you are working for somebody in San Francisco. So when you are being trained, you are working for that person and you are gaining the experience. You won't forget, because what we've been having in the past is you gather 100, 2,000 people, train them for 5 days and they leave. After 2 days, they've forgotten everything you've taught them. You are back to ground zero. So we are currently in talks with multiple organizations. Once we finalize, our hope is to start by 2nd of January, we'll take off fully.
All right. Let's look at the e-commerce market. It's a very large market. According to PwC, that market is expected to hit $13 billion in value. That is by 2025, less than 2 years from now. How much of that is Niger State ready to tap into?
Like I said before, we want to now start doing the business-to-business matching. That's how we want to tap into our e-commerce. People pay for convenience. If I'm able to see something online and I know the money I'm buying it is secured or guaranteed by government, I will be willing to go into that transaction. So for us, we will now focus on putting all these MSMEs product like beadworks, brass, aluminium works and the rest. We put them online. Part of what the problem Nigeria is facing is you find our handcraft, somebody buys it for 100 naira here, puts it on Amazon and sells it for $2. That's currently about 2,000 naira. So you can imagine that's almost 2,000% difference. So what if we put it out there ourselves? Then we have shortage of foreign exchange. We'll partner with people to now put our own handcrafts and other commodities that are locally made out there in the international market. We now have people that would facilitate logistics. That's another value chain to employ people. You have people that will do the packaging, send it via courier service abroad. You now have another financial sector, those that will now get the money from outside the country back into the country. So we have to do all those matching. Like I said, my ministry is just 3 months old. So once our strategy documents are right, we engage private sector, they drive it, and it will be good for everybody.
Impressive there. Let's look at the areas of digital literacy. According to World Bank, over 50% of Nigeria don't have access to digital skills. All right, but how do you, and we're talking about, embracing e-governance, embracing technology. What do you think we need to do to address this deficit, 50% deficit?
Part of the problem we're facing with digital literacy is everybody is focused on English. But the bulk of our population don't speak English. If you say, okay,
that's a major concern.
Yes. So you want to convert operating systems to local languages, but they can't still read in local languages. So that's, for you to cross that statistics of maybe 50% of the population is going to be very hard. So for us, that's why in the beginning I said we're focusing now on visualization. So like WhatsApp, somebody knows how to navigate WhatsApp. You find people store numbers, they just memorize the last 2 digits of a phone number and they know that's the person they want to call. Now you teach them how to send voice notes. So will you now tell me that person doing his transaction with voice notes and he knows how to type his account number, is he not digitally enabled? So it's not about being able to use a computer and all that. For us...
So you are faulting the World Bank statistics?
No, I'm not faulting it. What I'm just saying is that statistics, if we say we're trying to force ourselves to go beyond that from the angle they are looking at it, we have to solve our problems locally. The solution being proposed by an external party might not work for you as a person. So you have to look at your own society and what works for you. So that's why for us, the training for the so-called digitally illiterate is going to be focused more on visuals than language. So if they're able to recognize pictures, images, icons and all that, they'll still get the work done.
All right, impressive. Then we hope that you succeed in training your population, especially Niger Light, on that. Let's talk about the issue of corruption. How do you think applying information technology, there's quite a whole lot that it will enable transparency, to enable, to curb corruption and so many of that. How much of this do you think we can actually do with the level of corruption that we have in Nigeria?
Technology can block leakages, but however,
it's also easy to manipulate.
Also enable. We are a blessed nation because I don't think there is a country in the world that can think as fast as Nigerians. So if you block it one way today, there will be another window created. So we have to have a rapidly developing technology sector for us to be able to block those leakages. But we can see from implementation of TSA, for example, it has reduced that. By the time we start adopting processes like e-procurement, You don't have to go to an office to physically submit your tender documents. Then from there, you are seeing somebody to give him cola nut and all that. Just apply online. The system automatically vets your submission. And we have artificial intelligence, machine learning, all those technology. It can do the process that most people do. And without knowing who he's doing it for. You are doing recruitment, because that's another form of corruption. You recruit somebody illegally, that's a corruption that will last for 35 years. So, but you can have a system vet the credentials of those you are recruiting and do that whole process. So we can have technology as the first point before we now talk of the human sector. People will now say, I'm trying to advocate for technology to push people out of jobs.
But people drive the technology.
People drive the technology behind it. And aside that, more jobs will open up. More would spring up. Like banking sector, people thought TSA would kill the banks. But now they are stronger because when they now realize, okay, technology can be adopted to grow their base, they've done that. So technology can definitely fight corruption, but the people...
But the application is also a major concern.
Application of the
technology.
Yes, how you apply. Technology is just an enabler. Like I tell people, your business process is what matters. Technology is just there to aid it. So if there is a loophole in your business process and you put technology on that loophole will still be exploited with the technology. So you have to get your business process right before applying the technology.
All right. Suleiman Isah, Commissioner for Communications Technology and Digital Economy, Niger State. I must thank you for your time on Business Daily today. We appreciate your contributions.
Thank you for having me.
All right. With that is a wrap on the show today. We'll be back again tomorrow for more. I am Yusuf Akugu.